Welcome to Navigating a Broken Vessel. I'm Dave Harris, and I want to welcome you to this episode. And I gotta say that a lot of the guests that I have had on our program are people that are either friends of mine or that are related to me. And I thought about that a little bit. I'm like, wow, is that kind of weird that you have people that are navigating broken vessels? And then I thought, you know what, Dave, it's not weird at all, because I think it's true of all of us, that all of us are navigating a broken vessel. And so I have a handful of people that I know that are willing to share their stories. And one of them is actually my daughter, Jaycee Rubio. Welcome to the show, Jaycee.
Hi.
Hi, you're not nervous at all.
I'm really nervous.
Why would you be nervous?
I don't know.
I've
known you my whole life.
That's true. And I've never done anything that would make you embarrassed.
No. Well.
Wait, I have?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Phew, until now, right this moment.
Yes. No.
Nice. It'll be good. So the reason why we talked about having you on Navigating a Broken Vessel is because you're struggling with something that would be considered something broken in your body, right? Your vessel, that kind of a thing. What is that we're going to talk about?
I struggle with infertility.
Right. So infertility. So how long have you been married?
We just celebrated 5 years just a few days ago.
Just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning it. I'm like, man, 5 years goes.
Yeah, it went fast.
Yeah, but that's fun. So, and you all, if I may just ask you personal questions, you all have been wanting to have children since the beginning.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
So I basically knew since I was young that I would probably have issues getting pregnant. So when I started dating and when I started to kind of get serious with, I guess I really only got serious with the one guy, now husband, Brandon. I talked with him and I was just like, by the way, if we get married, like, we might struggle because I've got like a couple of things wrong with me. And he was like, cool, we'll like take it as it is. So we literally were like started trying right off, and it just never happened. So
it's one of those things where, and that's actually, I think you bring up a valid point, right? So you've got someone who's a boyfriend. Maybe you're thinking, man, this might be something that might go somewhere. And so you feel like, hey, by the way, it's possible that we may not have natural children.
Yeah.
So did you talk adoption at that point? Did you wait till after you were married? How'd that work?
Yeah. So he was kind of like, all right, we'll discuss it. If it happens, we'll do whatever we need to. And I had said, I kind of figure that I'll probably end up needing to do IVF, or have like doctors help. But I brought it up about adoption and I was like, I'm not against it. Like, even if I can have my own biological kids, I have always wanted to adopt, and I'm still not against it, even though I'm pregnant now. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so we talked about that too, and it was definitely discussed early on too.
So even before you're married, he's aware of what's going on, things like that. And so how did you start to recognize that? I mean, maybe it's a stupid question. How did you start to recognize that things weren't working out?
So when I'm going to get pretty like in depth because I'm an open person about this, but my first few periods when I was like 12 or 13, would go through the menstrual cycle and everything, I was in so much pain. Like, my stomach was hurting and I was just like cramping. It was like everything was just like if I could just describe it with my hands, it was like everything was like crunching and twisting. So I just was in pain, and Mom would take me to the doctor, and they were just like, you're 13 years old, and nothing was regular. I would go 6 months in between, and then I would have one that lasted 3 weeks, and then it would be another 2 months. And anyway, so nothing was right. And so we went to the doctor, and my doctor, I still see him today. He was like, let's do a surgery to kind of look in there and see if it's endometriosis, and we will kind of figure that out. We'll just see if that's what it is. So they did a laparoscopic surgery, and they did find endometriosis. So I was diagnosed at, I believe, 13, and they scraped it out or lasered it out, and I was okay for a little bit, and then I just started hurting again. So I was like, well, that's a bummer. So then we tried to like keep on that, kind of we found out about a specialist. We went up north to a specialist. He ended up cutting it out of like my uterus. It was all over, and that helped. But then after that, a couple months later, I was still in pain again. And so we went back, and he was like, I don't think it's endometriosis causing pain this time. I think you have PCOS. And so another infertility disease. And anyway, so basically those things, just like the painful cycles and irregular cycles and nothing helping and nothing working and surgeries even not really helping. Anyway.
So let me ask you, because even though I'm your dad, I'm assuming that during this time, you're a teenager and things like that, you're probably not getting pregnant.
No.
So with that in mind, I wanted to ask you, I mean, even though you recognize what this really means, did it affect your health mentally? How do you feel about as far as knowing that this might be a problem in the future? Or is it kind of like, hey, I'm a teenager, I don't really care about the future, we'll take it as it comes, whatever it might be?
I'm glad you bring that up because I've always wanted to be a mom. Like, I loved playing babies growing up. I loved playing house. Like, it's always been something that I've wanted. And so it did affect me, a lot. I remember I got my patriarchal blessing. I was 15, I think 15 or 16. And I remember hearing in there, children will be born in your home. And I just remember sobbing. I was sobbing because to me it was like children will be born in my home, meaning my husband and I will be able to bring them into our home. And so although I wasn't against adoption, I still wanted to be able to experience getting pregnant and feeling the baby kick and just like labor and delivery and all of those little things not little things, but those other things. And so I remember hearing that and just thinking, okay, like I feel a little bit of peace with that, but I still just didn't know because, patriarchal blessings, they're not the answer to everything. They're kind of a guidance. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, but yeah.
So knowing these things, did it affect at all your thoughts of marriage? Your thoughts of having a family, whether you would even do it?
I knew that if I found the right person, that he would work with me and work with us. And that's why I was so grateful for Brandon, because he has never once made me feel broken. He's never once made me feel bad about anything. He's been so encouraging and just all of that. And so I don't know. I didn't ever think I'm just going to give up. Like, this isn't for me, because I knew that when I did find the right person, that it would just work out the way that we needed it to. So I never really gave up on that.
Yeah, because I myself, as far as I know, I've never been pregnant.
Yeah.
as far as I understand the way biology works, I don't think I'll ever be pregnant.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, as a guy, I would just wonder all the time, if because my wife, Shelly, she, we didn't struggle. Sometimes we'd wash our clothing in the same washing machine and she'd be pregnant, that kind of a thing. And with that in mind, I've always wondered, what would it be like knowing, maybe there's nothing wrong with me, but her plumbing's all messed up or whatever. And I always thought, would that be a source of contention or a source of issue? And I would love to say, oh no, of course not. It would never be that way. But I think in a lot of cases, we as humans kind of have this idea of how we would respond in a situation. And then when we're actually presented with the situation, we're a little surprised that we didn't respond the way we anticipated. I think that happens all the time. And so I always wonder, how would I be as a man? How supportive would I be knowing that my wife is brokenhearted, knowing that she may not be able to have children, and at the same time knowing as a result of this situation, I also will not have children, natural children. And so I've always considered that. And I can't respond to it because I don't want to say, oh, I would totally handle it just fine, because you never know.
You don't know.
And so to find out that Brandon is just spot on, the way he is. I think that's great.
He really is. Like, I would always have moments, I would take a pregnancy test and I was just I'd be convinced. I'd think, I've got a headache and oh my gosh, I've been a little nauseous today. I'm pregnant. I just know it. And I bonded with a baby that was never there. And I would take a test and it would be negative, and I would look at it close and I'd be like, there's a line. There is a line. I know it. And he would be like, I don't see one. And then I would just sob and I would be so sad. And I would just think, this is never going to happen for us. And I'd tell him all the time, I'm so sorry that this is like, I know that you knew about this when we were like engaged and dating and all that, but I don't think you really knew. And he was like, what are you apologizing for? Like, we're good. We'll make it work. Like, I'm good with taking care of kids that need families and stuff like that. And so like, he really did lift me up, and yeah, it was good.
It's interesting you bring it up, because for me, like the idea of you feeling compelled to apologize as if it was your fault.
Yeah.
And it's clearly not your fault. It like, one of the things I was thinking of, it's like, if I didn't have legs, right? And I told my wife when we're getting married, I'm like, hey, I don't have legs. I mean, I use these prosthetics, but check it out. Let me pull these prosthetics off, and look, I've got no legs here. I don't think that 3 years after I got married, I'd be like, I am so sorry that I still don't have legs, right? That kind of a thing. And so you a lot of times we look at this physical aspect of it and we feel like, oh, okay, it's a physical thing. I was born this way, whatever. It's hard, I would think, because I understand the idea that you would feel compelled to apologize, but at the same time, it's like, I think anyone out there listening would say, it's not her fault.
Yeah, she didn't ask for this.
Right. And so
I didn't.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you have to navigate.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you navigate it?
Lots of crying. I did find a friend. We were friends in high school. And I had posted a Facebook post, I think when we were starting, I think it was the IUI process. I had posted and just said, we're going to need support because I need help. Like, I need people to talk to me through this who have done this or who understand what I'm dealing with and whatever. And she had messaged me. This was like a best friend in high school. And she'd said, I'm going through this too. Like, so we ended up texting each other. We still talk to each other and help each other. And I do think that besides family support, she is another person that really got me through things. And I'm grateful for her, because I don't think I would have been able to like handle a lot of my emotions. And I would text her pretty quick if my IUIs had failed, and I'd be like, it didn't work. And she would immediately text back. So definitely family and friend support. I did go through a little phase where I was kind of not necessarily angry with God, but kind of just like, why is this my trial of life? I need to change perspective. But yeah.
And I think that's normal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would say, hey, it's totally fine to be like, hey, I totally get that. That's why we're here, but still, this sucks.
Like, come on.
That's right. I would rather go through something else.
Yes. Anything else.
And so, yeah. So for me, then I think there's two camps, right? There's people, there's all the guys out there, first of all. So we'll exclude all the guys. So let's just look at the women out there, because the women are the ones that get pregnant. Mm-hmm. I would think there's two camps. There's the ones who have experienced the infertility, and then there's those who haven't. Mm-hmm. And was it harder for you to hear maybe advice or counsel or comfort from those who hadn't experienced it?
Yes and no. There were some things that would be said to me that people would try to be supportive, but they didn't understand. And so I would have to talk it through. I remember calling mom sometimes and being like, well, guess what so-and-so just said to me? And I know they're trying to help. I know they're trying to be respectful and nice and all that, but it's not, like, it is definitely one of those things where I'm in a club that some people don't understand. And I'm happy that other people can be in the other club, but it's different when it's like, just go on vacation and you'll just get pregnant, or just don't think about it and it'll just happen. And I'm like, no, I had to pay thousands of dollars for this baby. And so, yeah, it's definitely, people were helpful, but not helpful at the same time.
It's almost like, to me, it's almost like approaching someone who has cancer
Yeah.
and saying, hey, you know, I really believe that if you just keep eating your spinach
Yeah,
and
exactly.
go take it easy in the Caribbean for a couple of weeks, your cancer should just go away.
Take some vitamins, yeah. It's definitely kind of like that, where it's like it does have to be more. It may work for some people, but it doesn't work for me.
So with that in mind, then, so how long did you try naturally before you're like, all right, this isn't going to work. We got to figure out something else.
So we tried for, I believe, a year, and we like I was on medications the entire time. I was on a medicine called letrozole, and it would just trigger ovulation for me because I couldn't ovulate on my own. And so I would just take those pills and then track ovulation. But even then, I don't think I ever ovulated. So I would do that, and then I believe it was my OB that I'm seeing now, and the one that I was the gynecologist, the one I see for all my girl problems. They were like, "Okay, we'll give it 6 months, and if it doesn't work, we'll do like a 6 month process. If it doesn't work, we'll refer you to the fertility clinic." And I think I had done like a year of trying on our own. And then I believe we just took off like 9 months because I did Accutane and I couldn't try while I was on Accutane. So I guess we were trying for 4.5 years. But yeah, and then I tried the medicine again. And after like 2 or 3 months, I was like, this isn't working. Like, I just want to be referred now. So I called the doctor and I just was like, can you refer me now, please? And they were like, yeah. So they referred us to the fertility clinic, I believe October, maybe like August, September, October-ish of 2023. Or no, 2024. I'm getting mixed up, pregnancy brain. And we had to do a bunch of blood tests. Brandon had to do a semen analysis. To check on his end. We did find out that there was a little bit of male factor infertility that we are working through and stuff. So we did blood tests, and they did water ultrasounds on me, which is when they fill up the uterus with water or with saline to check if there's like polyps, lesions, cysts, those types of things. Yeah. Anyway, so we were cleared to do IUI starting January of 2025. We did 3 consecutive IUIs from end of January, end of February, and March. None of them worked.
So tell me, what's IUI?
IUI, it stands for intrauterine insemination. So they inseminate me manually.
So that's like the first step.
Yeah. Yep. So some people go straight to IVF. At the time, Brandon's numbers from his semen analysis were like good enough that they were like, okay, let's try the IUI. None of those worked. I was on medication to trigger periods and all of that. It was so painful. And I was like emotional, and it was causing joint pain and all this stuff. But I was like, we're doing it. Like, it's fine. This is what we're doing. And anyway, so those 3 didn't work. And after that, they were like, usually we try 2 or 3 and then we go towards IVF route. And I was like, okay. So June of last year is when I started the process for my egg retrieval. And we got pretty good results. Do you want me to go in depth about?
So I want to ask you a couple things before we continue on that. So you mentioned Accutane. You were on the Accutane for how long?
9 months, I believe.
So 9 months. So, and you were, I've seen Accutane, the packaging. There's like, don't get pregnant
Yes.
warnings all over the thing.
It shows a pregnant woman with an X through it. So I was like, okay.
So what I wanted to ask you is, because it took the pressure off, right? Yeah. You're like, I'm taking Accutane. I cannot get pregnant.
Yeah.
So tell me what was it like mentally during that time?
It was nice because people would ask me, so are you pregnant yet? Are you still trying? And people asked me that since the day we got married, 2 weeks after we got married. They would ask me, and during the time I was on Accutane, I would be able to just say, I'm on Accutane. I can't get pregnant right now. We have to be very strict. 2 different types of contraceptives right now. So it did take the pressure off. It was kind of a nice little break. I feel like it kind of helped to ground me a little bit, which Accutane's not fun. So I was kind of like, this is not good mentally, physically, but it did help with the pregnancy aspect of it because I did have an excuse of not being pregnant at the time, and people didn't ask because they knew I was on it. So, yeah.
So let me ask you then, because it sounds like the fact of people asking you if you were pregnant, did you feel like you needed to be pregnant, or did you feel like it's something you wanted? Did you feel like there was social pressure?
For sure. It was both because I always wanted to get married young and have babies young. Like Brandon and I especially have talked about it, and we wanted 6 kids. Like, I don't think it's possible now. I'd have to do another egg retrieval for that, but we wanted lots of kids. We wanted them close in age. Yeah, it's definitely like culturally like that too. Like, um, it's kind of one of those things where you get married young, you get pregnant young, and if you don't, then you're kind of like, I wonder why so and so's not getting pregnant. And I think you kind of just know if they're not having babies yet, there's infertility involved. I think that that's kind of, at least around here, that's kind of what I thought.
So then the question is were you, so obviously you're dealing with it on a personal level, but then also the social pressure, I think, is another dynamic. How do you respond to that? Is that something where you're like, man, I already feel broken. And then I have people reminding me, hey, by the way, just noticed you were broken. Just wanted to remind you.
Yeah, it was really hard. I fully get, even in the midst of everything, that people are just trying to support. I had so many people that were Team Jaycee, that they just wanted baby Rubio, that they wanted cute little babies all around, and I so get that. I totally do. And I don't have any issues towards anybody that asked me anything because there's curiosity, and I'm open, and I get that when you're open about things that people can ask and they feel like they can ask.
So
So,
I totally get that, but I want to dive more into how it affected you, though. Not whether a person should talk to you about that,
oh
but
yeah.
more about, how was that for you?
It was hard because although I did see their point of view in asking, it did make me think, okay, well now someone else is wondering why I'm not having a baby yet, and I have more to answer to, and it would be the way that they would ask. Um, Last year I went through a good weight loss journey, and instead of people saying, "Oh, you look really good, like congrats, like you've lost a lot of weight," they would say, "Did you lose the weight for a baby? Like are you losing it so you can get pregnant?" And so I just feel like everything that I ever did was baby related. And that was kind of hard because it's like any little accomplishment that I would do just would turn around to also be, is this for a baby or, and then it wasn't. I mean, it kind of was, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
Right. So again, how does that affect you? Right. Because you're still talking about, I don't mean to push you it if you don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it, but it's like, I mean, because you're still talking about what other people would do or whatever. I wanted to ask you how, I mean, maybe I know the answer. I don't know. It's like, well, it sucked, Dad. That's,
Yeah. No, it did. It reminded me all the time. And I wanted it so badly. And it was just more that I had to talk about it, and yeah. So it definitely was hard.
So with this in mind, then it's like, there's things you could do. So you've been trying the IUIs. Those are, every time go through that process, you have that hope. It's the same thing. And I think it's a little bit different than like the normal, when I say normal, like a standard person, standard, average, whatever you want to say. I don't want to say the words normal or whatever, because we're all normal. It's just we'd have different trials we deal with, right? And actually, I have a thought on that. I learned at a church meeting yesterday. Don't necessarily call them trials, just call them learning experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, another learning experience that we have. We all have different ones, but an average person, they try to get pregnant. They're aware of the windows that happen every month, and they have that hope, and it didn't work out, it didn't work. It almost seems to me that with an IUI, it's like, okay, I know I know that this is something that it's got a better percentage.
Yeah,
Like if this were a person with standard plumbing, it would probably take and everything would be fine.
exactly.
So what's it like then with that situation?
Um, they call it the 2 week wait during, because you go in and, well, beforehand, for me personally, I don't know if this is how it is for everybody because I don't ovulate on my own. So they would put me on medications before I would trigger a period. They would like grow my ovaries so that I'd for sure release an egg. And they would monitor with ultrasounds and just make sure that I'm reacting. And then I would trigger with a trigger shot, making sure that I for sure release the egg. And so I'd go in there and it just, every single time I'd be like, this has to work. I don't see how it could not work because you're literally putting the two things you need right next to each other. So how can this just not work? So then you go home and you're resting and you're just like, okay, like now it's time. If it's time, it's time. And then it's the 2 week wait and it's the longest, worst 2 weeks of your life because you overanalyze every little thing. Kind of like what I was doing before, but worse. So I was thinking, okay, is this implantation cramping or is this period cramping? Like, what am I feeling right now? And then I'd be like all snappy and I'd be like, sorry, this is pregnancy hormones because I'm pregnant now. And then 2 weeks later, you go in for a blood test and it's a negative. And you're like, huh? Like, it's supposed to work. Like, how does this not work? So, yeah, the IUI was exhausting and yeah.
I remember one time, I remember, because obviously the blood test they do, and it's the blood test is a little bit more accurate, but I remember you were doing just over the counter pregnancy tests. And I remember you called mom and said, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
This thing came back positive. I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And then it didn't take. The blood test came back. It was negative. I can imagine that was not fun.
It was a false positive. So I had the test. I still have a picture of it. And like, there's no way it's not a positive line. Like, there is a line in that test. And it was the first time with this brand that I was using that I had ever seen a line. And I believe that this was around the time I was working with like figuring out the blood test. So I don't think we had even done IUIs or anything yet, if I remember right. And so I was thinking, whoa, like it worked. I went on vacation. I came back pregnant. Like this is happening. And I was shaking. And I remember you were saying, congrats, you're glowing. And I was like, just so happy. And I called the clinic. I was working with them at the time with blood tests. And I was like, I got a positive. Like, can I come double check it? And it was a negative. And I was like, okay, that was rude. Like, why trick me like that? Why? Like, I remember posting about it and saying, I'm grieving a baby that was never there because I had this false positive. I had that hope of there's actually a baby inside me right now. So that was taken away pretty fast and that was really hard. So,
Yeah, I remember it was hard for all of us, but
yeah.
we totally get it. You know how hard
Yeah.
it was for you. So let me ask you then. So you mentioned okay, now you're doing IVF. So tell me what's IVF?
IVF is like in vitro. So they take your eggs out of you, they take the sperm out of the husband, and they force them together and grow them in a petri dish. They're petri dish babies. And so last year I did my egg retrieval. I started, I believe, June 17th. So we're coming up on the year date of that. And you have to do injections every morning. And it's like a good amount of injections. And it puffs up your ovaries, preparing for all your eggs to come out. And like you can get 10, you can get 1, you can get 50. Like it kind of depends on how your body responds, all that. And so I believe I saw something, don't quote me on this because I'm chronically online sometimes, but I saw that like your ovaries can be the size of grapes, but at the time of your egg retrieval, they get to be like grapefruit size. And that makes sense because it's painful. You get so bloated and you just feel so heavy in your like stomach area. So June 26th was the day of my retrieval. And I'd have to go back to like double check for sure in my notes. I think we got 33 eggs. We had 25 that were mature, which means they could be fertilized. We had 15 that were fertilized. We had 9 that survived the blastocyst stage, which meant that they were
Viable.
Yeah, viable, like pushed to embryos. And then we did genetic testing on our embryos just because we were not going to take any chances. We checked for gender, and it was going to tell us if there were anything wrong with any of the embryos. And so out of the 9, we had 6 viable embryos. We had 5 boys and 1 girl. So I believe that the 3, I always get it mixed up. It's either aneuploid or euploid embryos. One of them means that they're not viable. I think it's aneuploid that are viable. So I think that my non-viable embryos are still frozen. I still have access to them, but I don't think they would implant them. So we did, we waited for the genetic testing to come back. It took a couple of weeks. And then we started the process for our first transfer, which was in August of last year. And we were thinking, how could this not work for us? Like, they're literally putting the baby in my uterus. Like, this is magic. Like, how it's supposed to work. So
I can imagine you were like, we're going to have 6 kids.
Yeah, it was literally that.
We're going to have 5 boys and 1 girl.
Exactly. I was like, how could my body not respond to this? Because you're putting the baby inside of me. It's already done the hard part of whatever it couldn't do before, whatever we couldn't do as mother and father. Like, the doctors have already done that. So I was thinking, okay, we're good. Like, we've done the intense part. Like, how can this not work? So we ended up transferring our girl first, and it didn't work. So we had mixed emotions. I mean, obviously we were so sad because first of all, I was thinking, okay, so this didn't work. Is IVF off the table? Like, are we not going to be able to have biological kids? Do we need to get a surrogate? I had people calling me up and saying, we'll be a surrogate. My best friend from high school said he and his wife would carry a baby for us. My aunt said that she'd carry a baby for us. She said that she would give us one of hers. Like, it's just, we had so many people reach out to give support because they were like, you deserve to be parents. And I was just kind of thinking, okay, it like gave me whiplash for a sec because I was like, how does this not work? So we have 5 embryos left. They put me on Lupron, which puts me into medical menopause. I was on that for 2 months, sorry. And that was just supposed to kind of reset my hormones, reset my uterus, my ovaries, all of that. And that puts us to beginning of January of 2026, this year. And one thing that is an option that we didn't do for our first transfer is that they do progesterone injections. So we didn't do that for the first one, but we did do it for our second transfer. And so every morning Brandon would wake up and he would inject me with progesterone in oils. Very thick oil that he had put in my stomach, and it was very painful. Not my stomach, I'm sorry, my hips. I'm getting mixed up. My egg retrieval was in my stomach, my progesterone was in the hips, sorry. And it was really painful. I still have lumps in my back from the oil getting stuck. But January 26th, we did our second transfer and it worked. So
tell me then, I would imagine that you would still have lots of fear. Like, is this real? We've had lots of ups and downs. What is that fear constantly in the back of your mind as more time goes on? Does it go away? Are you feeling more joy? Are you still reserved, thinking I better not have joy yet?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was probably, I think I was 5 weeks pregnant. I had, I can't remember what it's called. This is like what it's like to be, Brandon hears it all the time where I'm like, I can't remember. Pregnancy brain, really. I had old implantation bleeding coming out when I was 5 weeks. And I just sobbed because I was like, I've lost the baby. Like, I'm barely pregnant. I haven't felt him yet. He doesn't even have a heartbeat. What is this? Like, I thought it was another trick. And I called the fertility clinic. I was still working with them at the time. And I was like, help me. Like, please, what do I do? And they were like, this is pretty normal. Let's get you in for a blood test and we'll make sure that you're normal, your levels are normal. So I went in there and everything was fine. I bled for a couple of days and it was completely fine. I haven't since then. I have felt him kick. Not super consistent, but it is getting more consistent. And it helps a lot to feel him kicking. Moving around in there, it's really nice. The other day I woke up in the morning and I forgot that I was pregnant. I just sat up and I was just like, oh yeah, like I'm having a baby. And then I was like, does that mean that he's not there anymore? Like, did I forget because something's wrong? And so I called up mom and I was like, is this normal? Like, and she's like, it happened to me all the time. Like, sometimes I forget that I had kids, like when they were born. And I was like, okay. So I definitely am still very nervous. I think I will be nervous till the day he's born and till the day he dies when he's an old man, because I think I'm a mom now, and so I'm like worried about him all the time. But yeah, I think I'll always worry.
So now the question is do you, if a trial truly is a learning experience, and I get it that you're kind of still maybe right in the middle of it, there's still that unsurety. Is it a learning experience? Did your spirituality change as a result of this? Do you think it'll be something you'll look back on 20 years from now and be like, oh, wow, I grew, or, things like that?
I do think so. The whole time during this, like, I call it my infertility process, I was trying to figure out, like, why me? Why is this my trial? Like, one of the people in the world who wants kids most can't have them. I mean, there's a million out there, but for me, I was like, how can this be my trial? I was trying to think, okay, I need to change my perspective. So what can I learn from this, if there's anything to learn from this? And I just kept thinking, okay, maybe it really is that there's kids that need to be adopted by us, and we would unconditionally love them like that we were their birth parents and they were our own, and we didn't care about race or gender or anything like that. We just wanted to take care of a kid that needed a family. And so we thought maybe that's what we need to do. I was thinking, I don't know, it made us rely on each other more. Like, we are stronger in our relationship because of it. Timing wise, I feel like we're more financially secure than when we were first married, and we would have made it work, but it's definitely better now. Yeah, I don't know. I do think, as cliche as it sounds, God's timing is always right. And I don't know. I may never understand why I can't get pregnant on my own, but I don't know. I'm grateful that I can carry. So
What it reminds me of, I remember when I was a kid, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I remember as a kid, like learning about what a lottery was. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, so you just go to the store and you buy a lottery ticket. And if you pick the right numbers or whatever, you just, get
you're a millionaire.
You get 10 million bucks or whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to say a prayer that it would sure be nice to win the lottery, right? And why wouldn't the Lord bless me with that? Because that would be a good thing.
Showing your faith.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yep. And it's like, I remember thinking, if you could just really hook me up, make it so that I win this sweepstakes or contest. It wouldn't have been the lottery because I wasn't old enough, but whatever it was, it would have been like, hey, if you could help me get this, $1 million, I could, I'll serve you to the day I die. I'll do what's right and keep all the commandments and stuff. And then I remember thinking, when it was time for me to get married, I'm dating or whatever. It's like with Shelly, who's sitting in the room with us right now, and she'll remember this. When we're dating, it was a little bit of a struggle. It's hard to figure out whether a person, whether you're going to get married. And I remember thinking, if you could just tell me, if I should just
give me the answer.
That's right. Give me the answer. It would sure be really helpful, because, you didn't give me the $1 million, so there's something there. Maybe you owe me one. And it's like, if you would just tell me who I should marry. It's the same kind of thing. It's like we have these things that we think, hey, it would sure be nice if you could just, make it so I can be pregnant.
Yeah.
That would sure be nice, It's like that. It's the way none of these things work, right? And I could just imagine myself before I was born with this whole agreement of coming to Earth and me being like, I'm all in. I totally get it. I'm not going to win the lottery. You're going to, I'm not going to get an answer that's like, you should marry Shelley Harris, right? It's none of this sort of Shelley Holt at the time. Anyway, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really, and like I look back and I don't remember if I've said this in any previous episodes, but it's the way I feel. I trust past Dave. I trust pre-Earth Dave. Whatever my name was back then, doesn't matter. It's me. And it was me that made this decision to come here to this earth with all of the things that are going to go wrong and say, this is my best bet. This is the best opportunity I can have. And so I trust past Dave, and it's maybe, hey, trust past Jaycee that, you're going to make it through these things and whatever. And even if the outcome's not perfect, you learn. It's a learning experience. I don't know, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I think back constantly and I'm thinking, why would I have chosen this trial for myself? Like, I could have chosen anything. And why would it have been this one? But I think, I don't know, maybe I can handle it sometimes. Like, I don't know. I like that you said to trust our past selves, because I don't know what else I'd have to go on with this one.
It just reminds me of something Joseph Smith said. He's a rough stone cut from the mountain and rolling down the hill. And every time he, hits some boulder or something, it kind of smooths the stone out. It's one of those, it's like, I think when we're born, we're the rough stones. We got a lot of learning things to do. And this is an opportunity. And I don't know. I look at the last few years where I've looked at you, and I've seen a tremendous amount of growth from you as well as from Brandon. I've seen growth with myself, with Shelley, my wife, your mom. It's like we all have things we're learning from this experience. And that's still in the back of my mind. I always have that fear. It's, probably not as pronounced as you, but I get it. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. So anyway, do you have any other final thoughts?
Baby's kicking a lot right now, so he must agree with what we're talking about.
Nice. Maybe he's got some bongos or some tom-toms in there that he's just kind of,
He wants to join in.
That's right. Maybe he's like trying to figure out how to subscribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needs to subscribe.
That's right. Well, I appreciate it. Jaycee, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Before we go, how far along are you?
I will be 22 weeks in 2 days. So
22 weeks in 2 days. So actually, even though I know we're here at the end, what's interesting about it to me and what I think is fun is that normally about this time is when you'd go in for an ultrasound and you'd learn what gender the baby is. And yet you've known from day one.
Yeah, I've known for a year now. Yeah. Yep. So he's the size of a large banana, and he looks like a baby now based on the app.
What's his name going to be?
He'll be called Xavier. So
Xavier. Middle name or
Omar. Yep, after Brandon's brother.
Xavier Omar Rubio. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to call him X-Man. That's me. He's my little X-Man. So
so cute.
Anyway, appreciate it. I'd love to hear comments from all of you. I know that it's a topic that's hard because I think there are some topics in our lives, death and infertility and all these other things that are I think a lot of people are like, that's taboo. I wish we didn't talk about it. It's sad, that kind of thing. And I totally get it. But if we talk about it, then we have an opportunity to discuss if there's any positive aspect of it, which I think is helpful. But I want to hear from you. Navigatingabrokenvessel.com. You can click on episodes and look at any of our past episodes or listen to them if you wish. Navigating a Broken Vessel on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can just send me an email, dave@navigatingabrokenvessel.com. I do get emails every once in a while. I had someone who I've known for a little while, but I haven't seen her in 10 years, email me from New Zealand and talk about that. So that's pretty cool. Lonnie, appreciate it very much. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this episode, and we'll see you on the next episode of Navigating a Broken Vessel.